Hey guys, welcome back to another new video. Today I'm going to be continuing my little mini series on the Logitech Brio, just giving you guys all the information with it, and I'm going to be comparing that to the Logitech C920 just because it's the webcam that a lot of people are using right now. It was kind of the gold standard for 1080p webcams. It's only 1080p, 30 FPS, but for a long time everybody was using it to stream, record. Basically, if you had a webcam, the go-to webcam was the Logitech C920. And especially with its price drop, it's now under $100. So it's a really good value point for a lot of people wanting to get a really good webcam. Decided this probably be the best comparison of the Logitech Brio's capabilities versus the capabilities in this. Now, the webcam that I'm using currently will always be down in this corner over here. I'll have it listed, but it will also be the audio from that webcam, so that way you guys can hear it, you can see it, make your entire decision based only off the webcam. If you guys want to do separate audio, you can always do that later. But for now, I just wanted to focus on everything that comes stock with the webcam. I'm going to be recording everything in OBS. All settings on both cameras are set to auto. I am recording both cameras at the same time, just kind of switching between scenes. And when I switch between scenes, I'm switching between the audio. Now, one thing that I did notice right off the bat in OBS with the Logitech Brio cam is anytime I try to set it to 30 FPS at 1080p, I get these weird lines. I'll go ahead and show you a clip of this here. Alright, so I'm not sure where I'm going to throw this into the recording, but I noticed this while I'm setting up. I'm not sure if this is recording like this, or if this webcam is just doing a weird thing. I'm trying to set it for 30 FPS so that way I can match the Logitech webcam. And for some reason, every time I do in OBS, it gives me like these crazy lines. Is this webcam not capable of 30 FPS at 1080p? I don't know. And the reason why I wanted to do it at 1080p 30 FPS is because I wanted to do an apples to apples comparison of the Logitech C920 and the Logitech Brio, but apparently it just did not want to work out that way. Another test that I am going to be doing is I'm going to be doing the Brio in 4K, just downscaling it to 1080p and seeing if it looks sharper or anything like that, and that will be done at 30 FPS. One thing that I definitely noticed with the C920 right off the bat is it definitely lacks a lot of detail that the Brio has. The colors seem a lot more washed out, kind of. But like I said, I am doing all these tests in auto for now. When I get over and start testing out my green screen and stuff like that, we'll have to manipulate settings just to get the green screen to react correctly. So I'm not having any issues with that. So lighting may vary there, but for now, everything is in full auto. This is exactly what you get out of the box without messing with any settings at all. I also noticed on the Logitech C920 that the viewing angle is not nearly as wide as it is on the Brio. You can change that on the Brio if you like this angle a little bit better, so that way it's a little bit more closed in. You can also resize everything like that with the webcams. And now let me go ahead and switch back over to the Brio so that way I can do a green screen test real quick. Alright, now here's a weird thing that I noticed while I'm setting this up, is if you can see, I turned off auto exposure on the Logitech Brio and the movement is very, very choppy. I don't know what that's about. I guess when you don't let it choose its own exposure, it just kind of screws up, like my mouth is off and everything. Alright, now that I have automatic lighting exposure turned back on, everything is smooth again. I tried to adjust the picture as best as I can, set up the lights as best as I can, so I'm not completely washed out looking. If I move this light back over to where I had it before, this side of my face seems really washed out, even though the lights are spread evenly apart. I mean, where I have it set right this second doesn't seem too bad, but for some reason my neck is like really washed out. I don't think I'm this white and pasty, but I mean, maybe that's a thing. But yeah. So messing with the settings with this, like I said, a couple of things that I noticed so far is the 30 FPS thing, and now I have this exposure thing where if I turn off automatic exposure at 60 FPS, it's just a weird choppiness to it. Let's switch over to the C920 and see how that looks with the green screen effect. Alright, now I'm switched back to the C920, and I'm still getting that little pasty look on my neck, so I guess it's just me and my lighting and everything like that, so the effect's kind of there in both cameras. What I do notice, though, is that this one was a lot easier to configure and set up for the green screen. You still get that thing because it's only 30 FPS to where if I move my fingers around too fast, you can kind of see that green blurriness, like that green like blur motion to where I can't track fast enough. That's but I mean, for a lot of people, it's not really going to matter because most of the things they do is sit there, talk on a webcam, and kind of game. Every once in a while, you'll get an erratic motion, but it's not going to be extremely noticeable, especially because a lot of people shrink themselves down and stick themselves over in the corner, so things like that you just don't pay attention to. But one cool thing that I found out I could do because I'm recording both cameras at once is this weird little maneuver to where I turn both webcams on and then I can have two of me literally at the same time in different spots. So what I'm going to try to do is configure this to where it's not all weird and have me side by side so that way you guys can see that actual images from each camera together all on a green screen effect. Alright, this is actually a little weird. You can kind of say I'm a little beside myself. Had to throw in a horrible pun. But anyways, this is actually a pretty good comparison because you can tell literally side by side that the Brio has a lot more depth to the color and things like that, to whereas the C920 is a little bit more washed out. Sorry, I keep looking over here. I'm trying to look at the screen so that way I can tell you guys what I'm seeing as you're seeing it. But like shadowing and everything just looks a lot better. You can see that I get back to the green screen and I'm literally right on top of the green screen, and it seems like the Brio actually tracks a little tiny bit better even if I'm this close to the green screen, but I do look really washed out when I'm back here. And then like I said before, the little like finger motion test, you can see with the Brio I'm not having those weird little like lines and everything to where I'm having it with the C920. Another cool thing this shows you is the camera field of view angle. As you can see, the Brio is definitely a lot wider. I have everything set to the max on both of these cameras. The Logitech is a little bit more conformed in. It's obviously not as big of a viewing angle. But now what I'm really going to try to do is I'm going to take the Brio and size it up a little bit just because that's obviously got the crisper, clearer quality. And I'm going to stick these literally side by side and try to match it up to where it goes straight down the middle so you guys can see exactly what the difference is literally right next to each other, because I think that would kind of be a cool test and I want to see if I can make it work. Alright, now I spent way too much time doing this and I can't get it exactly right, but I can get it pretty damn close. I feel like this is obviously the greatest representation I can possibly have for these two webcams. Like, this is the Brio. It's got a lot of depth to it, kind of. And this is the C920, which is fairly good. But I don't know, I just feel like this has got a lot more like tone to it, a lot more like detail. And this is a little bit more white and kind of washed out looking. I mean, it's up to you guys to decide. I'm just kind of showing you the video and my thoughts on it. But I definitely think that I can't even remember what hand is what. That the Brio has it here. And it's pretty cool that OBS actually allowed me to do both of these at the same time. I didn't think that it would. I thought it would have some kind of issues with it. But no, it seems like it's pretty easy to do. And like I said, give you that little like finger test just to kind of show you the difference between the 60 FPS and the 30 FPS. And again, I can't tell which hand is what because I'm trying to look at the screen and move my hands at the same time. But yeah. The last test that I'm going to do isn't so weird, but it's going to be kind of weird because I'm going to bump up the Brio to 4K and try to kind of do the same test with it just to see how it looks compared to the C920. And once I do that test, I'm going to start off with the green screen and then I'm going to turn the green screen effect off so that way you guys can see it side by side pretty much how I have it laid out here. Alright. What you just seen there, if I caught it in time, is a little bit of a focusing issue with the C920. I noticed that it doesn't focus as good as the Brio. But as you can see, this really weird like mouth movement. The Brio is set at 4K right now. The Logitech C920, which is this side, is set to 1080p 30 FPS. The Logitech Brio which is over here, is set to 4K downscaled and 30 FPS. And as you can see, the Brio seems a little slow. Like, this right here is the stuff of nightmares. Like, that is fucking weird. Like, it's got major delay on it. I don't know what's causing that. Like, if I move my head, you can obviously see that the C920 is way better motion. I don't know what's causing that. Do the finger test. They look about the same, but like I said, I'm opening and closing my hands at the exact same time. And that's how far away, like how slow the Brio is being compared to the C920. Again, this isn't 4K 30 FPS, just downscaled to 1080p. The frame rate is still the same. Don't know why it's reacting slower. I guess is the post processing in it. But yeah, that's definitely an issue to look out for. Another issue to look out for, which I noticed when I was setting this up. Let me see if I can trigger it real quick. Yeah, okay, it triggered. There it is right there. When you mess with the Brio's settings for some reason in OBS, when it's set at 4K, it sets it to this really weird, like, blue light filter. Um, yeah, it's still got the same delay on it, so I don't know what this is about. The only way I've seen to fix this, if you have this issue, is to open up that Logitech settings app that I told you guys about in the previous video when I unboxed the Brio, the one that it's recommended to install with it. Let me go ahead and do that real quick. Now, just opening up that Logitech camera control software and going to settings seems to get rid of the problem pretty much right away. Let me go ahead and switch over to only the Brio in 4K downsampled, and I'll show you guys what that looks like with no green screen, anything like that. Alright, now this is my last test of the Logitech Brio. I am doing 4K 30 FPS downsampled to 1080p, and what I'm noticing is severe lag, like open, close, open, close, open, close. I don't know how bad the audio is off. It looks pretty bad from the screen. Don't know if this is a limitation of OBS in general, or if this is a limitation of the camera hardware, but it definitely looks like it's got a good bit of lag to it. Yeah, that's all the testing that I can think of for this. Let me go ahead and switch it back to 1080p 60 FPS just because this is very jarring for me to look at. Alright, now to end this video out, I'm going to be switching back to the Logitech Brio at 60 FPS. One other thing that I wanted to point out real quick is the mount for the Brio. I'm not sure how good you guys can see this or how good it's going to pick it up. But this thing is pretty damn awesome. Like, it has a good bit of bend joints. Let me just go ahead and contort this a little bit. As you can see, you can kind of contort it. It's got a lot of different joints in it. This is what a webcam stand should be. What really sucks is it doesn't have the regular threads on here, so I can't, say for instance, screw it on the bottom of my DSLR. Which, by the way, this thing is pretty hefty and the joints are good enough to where I'm pretty sure it could hold my DSLR if it could actually screw into it. It's got like little clips that clip into the bottom of the Brio. Kind of sucks they made that their own little mounting system. Like I said before, though, the Brio does have the threading on the bottom of it. It just also has two little cutouts for this clip to go into. But yeah, this clip is pretty damn awesome. I'm glad they definitely updated it from the C920. It would be awesome if it had the threading so that way I could hook it to the C920, because I'm pretty sure if I took this thing and kind of like clamped it around, like, say, a ceiling joist or something like that, it would definitely hold. And honestly, I might even see if I could thread this without screwing it up to where it'll still go into the Brio without any issues. I got a feeling that the roundness of it is a little bit too thin because it just kind of like pops up in there. So I got a feeling if I did make any threads, it'd just be kind of threading the two little outside clips. And I really don't want to mess this thing up because, like I said, it does work pretty good. If anything, I'll just use the Brio for like headshots. But yeah, this thing is kind of like GorillaPod, is what I would compare it to. The GorillaPod for webcams. I feel like that's a pretty accurate description. But anyways, this has been me testing everything that I could possibly think of in 1080p 60 FPS, which is what this video is going to be in. Like I said, I had problems with the Brio going into 30 FPS. I was going to do an apples to apples comparison with that. But as far as other testing, I think I pretty much hit on everything anybody would ever need to know about this thing. Also came up with a lot of issues that it has. Like I said, in 4K mode, it definitely lags behind a little bit. I don't know what that's all about. I'm not sure if that's a problem with the camera or a problem with OBS recording it. As far as I know, and it's been stated with the Logitech Brio, that it does work with OBS just fine, so I don't really think it's an OBS problem. I'm recording in lossless quality. It shouldn't be any kind of issue there. It's not any kind of CPU issue, any kind of RAM issue, nothing like that. I pulled up all kinds of readings on my computer, made sure that none of that was possibly giving me any kind of error or anything, which I didn't think it would because I got a pretty beefy computer, and I really don't think the webcam would cause that kind of issue. I think it's just a problem with the webcam itself. But all in all, it is a great webcam. It definitely offers a lot more clarity than the C920. That being said, though, the C920 with its price drop, it's now under $100. If you want really good 1080p, especially for something you're going to shrink down this big over in the corner of your screen or something like that, you're never going to notice the difference, especially after YouTube compresses it, or if you're streaming on Twitch and Twitch compresses it. That's definitely not going to be a problem. But if you're using it full cam, just kind of like I am now, you will notice the quality difference. Is that worth the extra money? That's up to you to decide. Like I said, I really like it because it's got that 1080p 60 FPS. I will be doing a 4K separate video, only in 4K with only the Logitech Brio. I got a plan to kind of stick it on a slider, do some pans, kind of use it as like a regular camera to see how good it does, rather than just using it as a webcam and me standing in front of it kind of like this. So if you want to see that video, go ahead and subscribe, be looking out for that, or just come back to my channel eventually and just kind of keep looking out for that video because it will be coming pretty soon if you don't want to subscribe for some reason. But go ahead and like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you disliked it, and I will see you guys next time.